up, but baby, you are the change now. Let them talk, let them talk, let them talk. Took my lumps, roll with the punches.
Hi guys, and welcome to the Biscuit Guy. First time I've done this in a while, just to let you guys know. If you've not listened to the show before, I think I did 3 episodes last year, and I was kind of like, oh, I'm in a stress. I ain't doing this shit no more. And then I was kind of like, I've come through one of the worst times of my life where my world fell apart. And then I was kind of like, actually, I kind of need this. I think every guy needs the opportunity to yell at clouds, and that's what this show is all about. So we can rant in good ways and bad ways. I feel like as long as you are exerting energy in some direction, you need to get it off your chest. It's good. And the best way to do that is to talk about something you are passionate about. And today's guest is very passionate about one thing, and that is music. And that's Dribbz, our guest today. How are you, sir? You good?
I'm good, thank you, Alex. Cheers for having me on.
Yeah, it's really good. I thank you for doing this at short notice as well. Obviously, I usually host the Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast. That is a family-friendly show, which is great. It has its purpose. This is a great show where you have a license to be who you want to be. I mean, swear, talk about whatever you want to do, and just be who you want to be. So, where are you hailing from today, Ad?
So I'm from Telford in West Midlands. I spend a lot of my time in Shrewsbury, if I'm honest with you, with regards to bookings and that. But yes, I'm from Telford, grew up in Telford. And here I am, live and direct.
That's where I started off live, in Telford. Oh,
really?
Yeah, I started off in Hollinswood. Hollinswood, Dawley, Wrexham, and then back to Telford when it all went pear-shaped. I'm sorting my camera out. When it all went pear-shaped with a girl, I kind of came back to my mum. Met my current wife where we worked at Asda, and then when we had a kid, we were like, "Oh, wouldn't Shrewsbury be a nice place to live?" So that's why we moved to Shrewsbury. Yeah,
fantastic.
Yeah, it's a great place. I think like there's a lot going for Telford at the moment. But I've spoken to Trademark Blood plenty of times on the Shrewsbury Biscuit. He's one of my favourite people. We're getting involved with a lot of musicians, especially Jimmy Kebab with Loop Festival. There's lots of musicians coming out of Telford right now, and there seems to be a great sort of evolution or music revolution going on in Telford. Can you speak a bit about that? What's going on there?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's some real hidden gems within Telford, real hidden gems of artists. I'm talking from MCs, rappers, vocalists, guitarists. There's just a lot of hidden talent in Telford, and that's kind of what I strive. One of my ethos of doing this whole music is to find these hidden gems and to bring them forward into kind of the spotlight, and just to give them the chance to put out their talent, whereas normally they may not get that chance to.
Yeah, what do you think it is about that town that generates such? Because I mean, every town's got the musicians, of course. Shrewsbury's got great musicians. They've got Macy O up in Ludlow. They've got like amongst other musicians, of course. But Telford seems to have a real grimy feel about it, which is good. This is exactly what you need for hip hop. What is it about that sort of environment that brings that out? Do you think?
I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of council estates in Telford. You know, Telford is very well known for the council estates. There's a lot of depravity within Telford, a lot of deprived areas, and I think the deprived areas bring out the most real artists because they're able to talk about their surroundings, their experiences. Whereas you may find there may be somewhere where there's lots of green pastures and lots of land, but they still try to talk as if they're from like the suburban urban places. Whereas Telford, you're getting that kind of grimy feel because they're talking about a lot of their life experiences, really.
So my previous job years ago, which you can talk about now, obviously I'm not going to mention names and stuff. I used to work with a lot of care leavers in Telford. That was my job for a long time. And speaking to, when you get on a level with young people and you speak to them, not at them, and you understand their sort of environment and the universe that's around them, you can kind of see that there is a lot of hardship in the town, which is not saying anything bad about the town. Bearing in mind, I sort of spent a lot of my years there. But that does bring something special into the music, and it really is like I think I compare it to the Arctic Monkeys, right? The Arctic Monkeys released two amazing, groundbreaking albums when they were hungry artists, when they needed to prove a point, and they put out some amazing music to stand out there, right? And then when they became super famous and they got lots of money and they got to work in state-of-the-art studios, the music changed into kind of string guitars and sort of, I don't know. If you like the Arctic Monkeys, fair enough. I do love those. Those first two albums are, for me, are two of the greatest albums in the history of music. But after that, it kind of got into something else. And I think it was, I don't know what that is. I think there's definitely something to be said about the hunger of an artist, don't you think?
Definitely, absolutely, yeah. I think being an artist, that when you've got the hunger to do well, to strive, to make a difference. I mean, let's face it. On one of my tracks, there's quite a line which a lot of people do mention it back to me, and it's anyone can make two words rhyme, and that is very, very true. You know, you can have an artist that can rap, genuinely can make two words rhyme and make it sound like it's perfectly on the beat, but if you haven't got the passion and the strive behind you, you're onto a kind of a losing streak. You've really got to have that passion where everyone can feel every lyric that you're explaining, and it's got to be relatable. It has to be relatable, and I think that's where I strive with my tracks, to make every track relatable and true to society.
I think that goes for, when you talk about hip hop history, that goes throughout all of hip hop, doesn't it? I mean, look what happened with the whole Jay-Z thing and the Black Star Revolution. You know, they were kind of like all the jiggy area. Look at all these jets and planes and cars that we got, and people were like, well, no, actually, hip hop was for the people, about the people. And then you have Mos Def and the people, the heroes that are out there doing in the ciphers and rapping and bringing it back to the people. That's something magical. And I feel like that proves the point that it doesn't matter how big it is or where it is in the world, that hip hop is for the people. You've almost got to be a people's champion to become a successful artist in that regard, I imagine. What do you? I mean, like, absolutely.
And I think like what's quite interesting is like, people hear your Wileys and, you know, all the early kind of garage, grime, hip hop artists, and they feel that they have to put on this persona or this to go with this attitude of, attitude and things like that. Whereas when you actually listen to interviews from these bigger artists, they want nothing more than to get out of the situations that they're in, and that's why they're doing this music, really, to highlight what's going on around their surroundings and to make their life better. But a lot of people think that if you're a rapper, then you have to have this gangster look and stuff. But I mean, yes, I'm a Telford lad. I grew up in a council estate. But right about now, I'm surrounded by beautiful farms and countrysides and things like that. I couldn't be any more, I couldn't be any further than from gangster if you tried.
And not just that, people shy away from people from council estates or people that may dress differently. But from my experience, the person I am, okay, I've got social anxiety, and sometimes I can come across as a bit of a dick. I'm not. It's just sometimes, like I was listening to Bad Friends recently with Andrew Santino and Bobby Lee, and they were and Jack Black actually was saying, he was the guest, he was saying that, when you say don't meet your own heroes, he was saying it's not necessarily because they're going to be a dick, it's because I'm going to be a dick because of how nervous I get. You may say the wrong thing or come across in the wrong way. So like, I struggle with everybody from all walks of life. It's if I was to walk on some stranger in the street and be like, hi, my name's Alex, I'd probably look a moron. But at the same time, I get on a level with people, I talk to people, I understand people. I was that council estate kid. I know what it's like to live without shit. Do you know what I mean? So I can go up to people and I can talk to people. If you're just on a level with people and decent with people, you're not going to get into any shit. Just talk to people. Be open and honest. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. I think that's kind of that's worked in my favor. I'm a people's person. Yes, I, like yourself, Alex, I struggle with anxiety immensely. Let's face it, like, Adam is a lot different to Dribbz. Dribbz is my alter ego. We might want to get into that a little later, but Dribbz is kind of my alter ego. It's a mask that I put on. I can be having like the most stressful day, but when I get on that stage and I put that mask on, you'd never know from the energy and the vibes that I bring and the positivity I bring is that I'm dealing with things actually in my real life that I don't show when I'm on stage.
I wish we'd have brought a video actually, because I've seen videos of you on stage, and you are a complete character. I love that about you, and I love the fact that you bring up this alter ego thing, because that's the same thing with my life. Like, if you met me in real, and people like come up to me and they're like, "You do the shoes biscuit? Oh my god, that's amazing!" And I'm like, "Thank you."
Yes.
Cheers, mate.
Yes.
Really I'm not being a dick.
Yes.
I promise you, I'm not. I get super embarrassed and nervous. Like, it happens to me all the time.
See, I can do. I when you talk about that, you know, I can actually portray myself with the Dribbz to be so outgoing and you know, like I said to you, a people's person. But the real me would avoid small talk at any cost. You know, that's the kind of realism of what I deal with off the microphone and away from that. And you know, I do try to put as much life experiences into my music, because you've got to be real. There's no point rapping about things that you've never actually experienced. That's not what's relatable. What's relatable is when you put out your own experiences through music, and people listen to that and go, actually, I've been through that same thing myself, and I've had them same feelings.
What made you want to start doing this? Because obviously it's like, I wouldn't say it's almost like, I feel like when it comes to rapping on a stage, I put that on a level with sort of stand-up comedy, because you can get booed off stage. You've got to get people moving. You've got people like jamming to your shit. Otherwise, what's the point? You know what I mean? So when you're up there, or when you're making a song, for example, and you're going to throw it out to people, you're going to make sure it's right. So what made you think, oh, I'm going to do this shit? This resonates with me.
Yeah, so there's two sides of me. There's the drum and bass MC, and there's the hip hop artist.
Drum and bass, it's mad.
Yeah, it is. You know, you do get a lot of but we, you know, I say we. There's myself and MC Munchie, who's a very good friend of mine. We've known each other since childhood days, and we now share stages together in drum and bass. So, you know, that's a special thing for me, and I know it's a special thing for him as well, that we're able to share these memories together.
That wasn't a dig, by the way. I remember being in Chili's in Wrexham. It was the Chili Peppers. What's the name of that fucking club up on Town Hill in Wrexham? I was standing there, and there's these drum and bass rappers going at it, and I was like, how? How the fuck are they doing this shit? Because it's just like, it's quick. Like, so drum and bass version of you.
Yeah, you've got kind of the drum and bass version of me. You've got like double time MCs, you know, but myself and Munchie, again, we both kind of pride ourselves on clarity. Clarity is kind of a big thing for us, and I think that's what kind of sets us aside from other MCs, because I have ravers come up to me and they're like, man, we can actually hear what you're saying. We actually understand what you're saying on the microphone, as opposed to better. It reminds me of do you remember the old scat man, Alex?
Do you know what I was talking about? I had no idea that that was some old Italian bloke that did that shit. Like, I was like, what?
It was, mate.
Like, that guy's a legend. He was like in his 60s doing that shit. That was incredible.
But if you put the scat man on like ×4, ×5, you know, that can relate to you know, a few MCs within the scene. You know, they feel like they have to go 200 miles an hour and not let the music breathe. And I kind of pride, like, this is where I'm going back to myself, you know, I kind of pride myself on, I know when to shut the fuck up, you know, and I will speak to DJs and I will say, you know, I've had 20 years, me and Munchie have had 20 years experience in this now, and we do know when to let the tunes breathe. We don't MC over vocals, because that grates on me when MCs feel they have to go 200 miles an hour and they totally kind of dismay the vocals and still kind of go 100 miles at it over vocals and whatnot. You've got to know when to shut the fuck up. You've got to know when to let the music breathe. And it's not all about you. Like, to me, myself and Munchie, when we're on the mic, we are mediators between the ravers and the DJ. We're just a middleman, you know?
Yeah.
We're not there. It's not all about us. And it's not all about the DJ. We work together as a team. We know when to big up the DJ, to pay respects to the DJ. We know when to pull the track back and get the, you know, for a reload, to get the second track playing. We know when to get people's hands in the air ready for the drop. So, and that's all come with time. Like, me and Monchi, we've known each other since, I mean, we're at the grand age of 37 and 38 now. We've known each other since 6 years old. I mean, we used to
That's incredible.
play Mega Drives, Nintendo's GoldenEye on the N64. We used to kick mitre footballs around the field together. And, we often say to each other, like, it's almost like a pinch me moment. If someone had stopped us as youths and said, when we were riding our BMX choppers around, if someone had stopped us and said, you two are going to be performing, across the UK and in different countries and sharing stages together, we would have been like, nah, get out of here. But we've been very blessed in the fact of the artists that because as we progressed, like we got to like 12 or 13, we then found tape packs, because that's what was big back then, was the drum and bass tape packs, the old Jungle CDs. And we'd listen to them on a regular basis. We'd listen to DJ Hype doing jungle classics and compilations. And now, like, for a typical example, next month we're playing a 90-minute set with DJ Hype, and it's like, that's a pinch me moment to me, Alex, because we listened to them when we were like 12 or 13, and now we've matured, we've got experience behind us, and we're now actually hosting for the same people that we spent so many hours listening to.
Similar vibes to Dave and Benno from the 90s revival. They bring out these amazing stars that they were like yourself, they were listening to years ago, and they're like, we get to bring these motherfuckers on stage, like we get to do this for real. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a great feeling, so that kind of covers the drum and bass, because like me and Monchi came through the pirate radio, believe it or not. That's kind of where we started back in the day, because I know there's an era now, Alex, that never experienced the pirate radio days. They don't really know what that was about, but we kind of came through with the pirate radio. There was many different pirate radio stations at the time. There was Midlands Rush, there was Dimensions FM, there was District FM, Midlands Underground. There was so many to choose from. You'd literally get your FM dial and just choose your favorite one each weekend. It was amazing. And we went to some very, very dodgy ass locations, Alex, just to get our sound out there. I'm talking like tower blocks that were in pitch black, and we'd have to follow a dude with a flashing light on his phone, and we'd be carrying our mics and our records, like, what are we even doing here, following a random light in the middle of Wolverhampton at a tower block? But we made these sacrifices to get our music out there. When we were in the studio, it made everything so worth it.
When it comes to like your audience and your followers, back then when you were doing those pirate radios, I mean, obviously now we've got like YouTube and the stuff that we use, but how does that translate to like growth when you're doing a pirate radio show? Do you see immediate growth? Do you have like audiences follow you from place to place because they've heard you on this thing before? Like,
so back then we didn't have Facebook. We didn't have we barely had YouTube. I think it might have been MySpace, if I'm honest with you, Alex, going back. Or Face Party as well. Do you remember Face Party? The 3 tracks, that's right, yeah.
MySpace.
So yeah, we had very limited platforms. Pirate radio was kind of the time when we could get our sound out there, and promoters would listen in to these shows on a Saturday or a Friday, and they would actually book you by texting into the studio, because like back in the day, the only way that they could actually do shout outs, they could text in with shout outs, was with a Nokia 402 that was in the studio. The robust Nokia 402s get run over by a tank and still be going.
I'm going to find a picture of a 402 now.
It's got to be done, mate. It's got to be done. But yeah, so the listeners would text into the Nokia 402 with shout outs, and it was a real community, Alex. It was keeping youth off the streets that would normally be hanging around the streets, because they would be listening in their bedrooms to their favorite shows. We would get the car cruisers that would be locked in with their subs on the Novas and the Vauxhall Novas and things like that. And it would even stretch as far as, which was crazy to me, Alex, it would even stretch as far as when the Dana prison was open, when it was a fully functioning prison, we would have inmates that had their radios on that would be locked into the show, and they would be shouting out other inmates in different wings, and we would be kind of the middleman that was bigging up other people, and we wouldn't pass too many. We'd have a few messages that we'd go, you know what, I can't read that out, that's putting it fine. But the big ups and the shout outs we were happy to do. So That's
That's
how
a
far the
shitty picture, but
community-
that's your Nokia 402, by the way. That's before Snake. That's
there it is.
yeah, that was a horrible
But that
picture.
is-
Oh, yeah.
Don't matter, mate. It is what it is. But that is how far the community and the audience spread. Like I said, I'm talking youth, inmates in prisons. We'd have doctors, solicitors, lots of people in quite formal places that would listen to these sounds because it was effectively their favorite radio station at the time. And it was a beautiful thing. It was a natural progression. And then we kind of, because there was a lot of, we had lots of issues with other rival stations trying to steal rigs, trying to steal the masts and things like that. It all became a little bit on top and a little bit dodgy, and it was causing a lot of drama for a lot of different people. And then we kind of seen the progression from pirate stations, the FM dial, to internet stations, and internet stations were legal in effect. So that was amazing. It didn't have the same feel, Alex. It didn't have the same nitty gritty feel because, pirate stations, it felt a bit like, oh, we shouldn't be doing this, but this is amazing. We've got a bit of a rush off doing this. Whereas the internet stations, you were totally legal to do that. So it was almost like, oh, that nitty gritty feels kind of come out of it now. But we use that to our advantage because as the internet station's grown, so did the socials. And off the back end of that came the socials where we could share flyers as opposed to just reading out flyers for events live on air. So
do you get a lot of young guns coming through now and asking you guys for advice? Like, what did you do back then? Or do you see a lot of arrogance and you thinking, what are you doing that for? You're like, you don't know what you're doing. Like, or how's that balance out?
Yeah, there's a lot of the younger. Do you know what? It makes me feel quite old. I mean, like, there's the younger generation who go, "Oh, my dad used to listen to you on District FM, and my dad used to listen to your shows. He's got tapes of you on Midlands Rush." And I'm like, "Wow, you're now the dad's son is now raving to me, and this is crazy because they would have not been born or in nappies by the time we
were
were
drum and bass granddaddy."
Yeah, it's crazy. But so that's the drum and bass, Alex. That's kind of where the natural progression started from 20 years. Like, we're coming up to 20 years in the game now, which we feel dead proud about. I say we because, like I said, I haven't been alone in the drum and bass. Monchi's kind of been by my side with all that. So I do talk with the drum and bass as we. The hip hop was more my baby. That was kind of my projects. I started the hip hop in lockdown, Alex. Lockdown, I'm sure with yourself and many other people, it was a crazy time when it was a great time because you got to spend loads of time with your family. But what an uncertain time full of anxiety, and we didn't know what was coming, did we? Each time Boris or whoever would come, on the TV to do a speech, it'd be like, what next? What next?
I like attach a bit of my trauma to sort of COVID, and that's for different reasons to everyone else. I mean, I was working for the whole of COVID. I was a support worker, so I was essential, but I just bought a mobile studio with a bit of funding that we got. I spent a couple hundred on that, a few hundred, I can't remember, and then the world closed so that we couldn't go out anymore. So I'd lost my ability to go out and do my thing, and the panic was incredible. And then it flipped into the point where nobody was going out to do things. Radio stations were having to really adjust. Whereas me and Tom Bruno up in Vermont, we've been doing this shit for a long time. This virtual thing. We used to meet on Google Hangouts. We used to make it work. We used to speak to celebrities from around the world doing this stuff. So I was like, I can do this. I can carry on going. So there was a point. There was a very small point when I was kind of one of the only media outlets doing stuff. And it was incredible. There's so many people tuning in. But the problem I had was
handy.
The problem, I launched USUC, which is our transatlantic thing, right at the point where every fucker on the planet decides to create a podcast because it was lockdown.
Yeah, it was take your pick with podcasts back then, when it take your pick, and all the DJs suddenly reverted back to the bedrooms or their studios to do live kind of Facebook lives. And I think Facebook Live got hammered back then, didn't it? Let's face it, Instagram Live, YouTube Live, they all got hammered back then. Someone must have been cashing out on them somewhere down the line, but yeah.
At the same time, there were people sat at home with fuck all to do. We interviewed Brian Graydon, who was the chairman for MTV for 13 years. We were worth like $80 million, and he's just sat at home. So we were like, want to do a podcast? He's like the co-creator of South Park, and we were like, want to do a podcast? And he was like, okay. So we're like finding these amazing like stars to come out because nobody had anything to do. So that was great. That was really good. So, but I mean, like,
definitely works in your favor, that aspect.
yeah, it did. But like when it comes to doing hip hop, for you, I imagine like that's like turning the dial down a bit because like, you know, your drum and bass, like you said, is like double time most of the time. Whereas hip hop, it's a bit more meaningful and a bit more rhythmic and a bit more, you got to take your time with it. How did you adjust to that and how long did it take you?
Well, the hip hop was COVID was where my hip hop was first born, Alex, really. So I can only thank that, really, because if COVID hadn't have hit, I would have still been sailing through with the drum and bass. We've kind of hit levels with the drum and bass that, like, me and Monchi have kind of turned to each other and gone, like, you know, we've played here, we've played there, we've played with these like epic headliners that we never thought we'd ever play with. What else is there that we can do with this? And all we've got to do is keep the memento going. But yeah, going back to the hip hop, mate, like, I was anxiety riddled. My mental health was horrendous. I hit depression, the lowest I've ever been. I sought counselling, which they referred me to childhood trauma counselling because I was opening skeletons in my closet that I'd kept shut for so long. So I took advantage of that. Once I'd kind of started doing the counselling, I then started putting a lot of my thoughts to paper, Alex, and that's where the hip hop was born. And you know, it's been crazy. I kind of only wish that I'd started it sooner because the kind of levels I've hit with the hip hop and the things that I've done so far, I'm like, man, if I'd done 3 or 4 years previous to that, what could I have been doing right now? Do you know what I mean? But my mental health was horrendous, and a good friend of mine, a lad called Sean O'Hanlon, who's an old school friend who now lives in London, he said to me, he said, Dribbz, turn this negativity into positivity. And I was like, well, what do you mean? And he was like, well, you've always wanted to put your thoughts and feelings down to paper. See if you can do some hip hop. So I put the feelers out there and I wrote my first hip hop track, which was called, funny enough, which was called Lockdown Sessions. Which there was probably so many singles and compilations and albums that had the word lockdown in them.
I think Mike Shinoda was doing something similar as well. That goes right to the top. That's what I'm saying. It's like,
right. So this Lockdown Sessions was literally, I wrote it because of my ADHD brain. I am like a bee in a bonnet, and I'm like a little Jack Russell at times. If I've got an idea in my head, I want to do it now, Alex. I don't want to put it off until tomorrow. I need to do it now. I need to write it. I need to record it. I need to get it out there. So I was very proactive because, let's face it, I didn't have much to do at that time. Wasn't working. And literally, Lockdown Sessions consists of me sat on my bench in my garden, doing the full track from start to finish on a skilo kind of instrumental beat. And it just blew me. Like, I put it out there and I think people were like, oh shit, he's been doing drum and bass for so long, and wow, this is different. This I didn't realize he could do stuff like this. And I kept the memento going. Then that's when I gained another set of fans, or supporters, should I say. But what I will say is, and I feel very blessed with this, the supporters that have followed me these supporters that I've got now have followed me since the drum and bass days, and they've still kept following me through to the hip hop as well, and they're feeling what I do. And as long as people are enjoying my sounds, and I'm having people get in touch with me going, Dribbz, I relate to what you're saying there. I didn't think anyone else experience things like that, but I relate to what you're saying. And as long as people are relating and I'm helping people through the sound of music, I'll continue to do it while there's breath in me, Alex.
Beautiful. I love that. I love that so much, because I feel like we all have to evolve as human beings, and I feel like the mixture of mental health helping you with your music because of your past traumas and stuff. I feel like that's a great tool for anybody. Because everybody has a negative connotation of a sort of mental health and stuff, but really, actually, opening Pandora's box can be a wonderful thing, because yes, there's a pain and trauma attached to that, but like your friend said, we can turn that into positivity. Like, we're about to go into a section called Rants now, and rants can be good, right? I feel like you doing hip hop is the equivalent of us all standing on a cliff and going, "Ah!" Do you know what I mean? Like, you're shouting at the world, you're getting that energy out because you're carrying that baggage around with you all the time. it's damaging, right? So you've got to be able to be like, what the fuck, man? And that's what I've been doing for so long. I have not been standing my ground. I've not been saying my piece because I'm a nice guy. I think I consider myself as a nice guy. I get on with everybody. I don't want to be. I don't like conflict. Although I think it's important now. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Makes total sense, mate. Yeah. I'm kind of the same as you, really. I've got to the point now where I'm like, for so long, I've just kind of sat in the background, believed in myself, but kind of not really shown it. Now I'm at the point where I'm like, come on, man, I'm 20 years deep in this now, and I don't want to be like I'm blowing smoke up my arse, because I personally feel I'm no better than the next man, Alex. There's a lot of talent in Telford, in Shropshire, you know. Now I feel that it's really important to have self-belief, because if you don't believe in yourself, Alex, how can you make someone else believe in you?
Exactly. You've got to be arrogant. You've got to be in some regard. You know what I mean? Of course, don't be in a complete see you next Tuesday. But I mean, what I'm saying is, like, you've got to believe, like you said, you've got to be like, I am good at this shit and I'm going to fucking slay it. You've got to be able to do that. Right, let's go into we're halfway through the show. Let's get this out the way because I'm really excited to do this. This is... What the fuck is going on here? Rants. Okay, so I've asked people about their pet peeves. We had a really cool discussion before we went into this ad, and that was, I was like, this new me is going to talk about the shit that pisses me off. The pet peeves. First of all, as if you've never heard of the word pet peeves. That's kind of common, right? That's pet peeves. You never heard that before?
Well, I quite embarrassingly said to you, is that a Shrewsbury thing, Alex? I've never heard of it. And I've got a good friend of mine, MC Slimothy D from Shrewsbury, who is very Shrewsbury. And I said to him, is this a Shrewsbury thing? He went, it's just a generic term. Like, I'm so shocked you've never heard of it.
Yeah. It's the little things that piss you off way more than they should do, right? Like, for example, somebody putting the toilet roll the wrong way around in the holder. Like, I like
guilty.
Yeah, well, I don't like it to be brushing against the wall. Fuck you if you think that's right. It's got to be flipped around the other way. Okay, I've got to be offered that toilet roll. I'm like, oh, thank you. Every time I'm like, thank you. My wife's the same, which is good. But there was one person I worked with years ago, and there was this passive aggressive like war going on. I'd flip it one way. I don't know who it was. They'd flip it the other way. And it's ongoing battle. Anyway, I've asked you guys on Facebook for your pet peeves, and everyone, like, Facebook blew up. Like, I've got so many comments here, so I'm going to split this in two because I do have another guest coming on later on. I'm going to save half for her as well later on. But the first one that struck my eye, and I was like, you've gone straight to the front of the queue, and that's Beth Fisher. And she wrote, when you're super grumpy and every door handle in your house is your nemesis, and you catch your sleeves, belt loops, hair on them, it sends you into a blind rage, and sheer force of the ninja grip makes you drop whatever you're holding. Have you ever, like, bashed your arm on the elbow, on the door handle, and gone, what the fuck? I nearly broke my arm.
Yeah, I've done that, mate. Why do we always catch ourselves when we're in a rush as well?
It's always when we're, like, carrying something or in a rush or at the most inappropriate times. But, like, it's I remember I was staying at my mum's once, and she had these door handles that were, like, they stuck out quite a bit. And I remember walking out of her kitchen, and I felt my arm sort of bend around it. I was like, whoa, fucking hell, how did that break my arm? They're weird things to happen, but they happen, and they make us really pissed off.
A similar thing with that is, why is it that every traffic light is red when you're in a rush too?
There you go. There's another one. That's annoying. That is annoying. At the same time, I really like it when there's a roundabout by us. If you live in Shrewsbury, the Meal Brace roundabout. Oh, when that's all on green, it's orgasmic. I'm like, oh, as I'm trying to swish. It's fucking great.
You did ask me to think of one or two, and I have got one or two, but we'll go with the people first.
Okay, so Nick Jones says someone else's car key's been put in my hook in the kitchen. So if somebody's put their key in in his place. See, these are little things. These are little intricate things that happen in our lives that piss us off. Louise Patterson.
Struggle is real, Alex.
Absolutely. Louise Patterson, worked with her for years, great person. She put people pronouncing it Shrewsbury. Now look, I pronounce it Shrewsbury. I've hosted a show for over 500 episodes where of the Shrewsbury Biscuit. It is common, but it's got to a point now where I used to notice it all the time. Now I don't. It's kind of those things. It is what it is. I mean, it's just. I originally I spoke to many people about this, and there's more than two. There's Scruggersburg as well. Scruggersburg was the original name, which is a bush in a bog or something. You know, it's like it's an old fashioned thing. But yeah, Louise, we all feel you that. What do you say?
But with that one, then, is it a class or is it an era thing with Shrewsbury and Shrewsbury?
I think it's about the people you grew up around. I think if you're around someone saying Shrewsbury all your life, you're going to say Shrewsbury. It's a language thing. I think it's who's around you. So if you grew up in a family that say Shrewsbury, you're going to say Shrewsbury. Or if they say Shrewsbury, you're going to say Shrewsbury. I think that kind of makes sense. We feel you, Louise. What do you say, Ad?
On what, mate?
On Shrewsbury. Do you say Shrewsbury or Shrewsbury?
Oh, it's Shrewsbury. Come on. There's no O in Shrewsbury. That's the kind of one-liner. There is no O in Shrewsbury. That's an age thing. That's an old-fashioned. It comes from old pronunciations of a town that's nearly 1,000 years old. It's quite cool. Right. So Susie Rawson, she put easy peel stickers on cards. Items seems to be stuck on with super glue. That is a bastard. I had a cooking tray for the oven. And it had a thing, and I ripped it off, and there's a sticker on the fucking tray. I'm like, so now all my food's gonna have fucking paper on it, so I had to like scrub it all off. Yeah, that's crazy. And like kids' toys as well. That's if we're on the kind of similar thing, like, you know, if you've got children and you've purchased them toys, or it's Christmas Day, and all of a sudden they want them all open, they want the batteries in them, and it's always typical. You never have the batteries on Christmas Day, and I feel like they put like Fort locks on everything and they bolt things down, and you just think, do you really need to go to this degree?
Go and get a Phillips security head. Go and get a fucking Allen key and get a PhD in fucking engineering while you're at it. Yeah. I'll finish off with this one because I think it's important. Eve Taylor put people who make no effort to stay in contact, even when you've tried loads and yet you thought they used to be good friends with you. Now, this is an important one for, I think, a lot of people, because this is common, a lot more common than you realise. There are people that come into our lives at certain periods where I feel like you could become great close friends, and you either get a new job or you move away, or something happens to separate you where you see them every day. Have you had this in your life? Have you, people you've worked with before that you were close before, now you're kind of not anymore?
Yeah, but it's life, innit, bro? I mean, I went with this kind of attitude of, well, they haven't got in touch with me, so why should I get in touch with them? But you can't be like that, Alex, because like it doesn't help any situation. But I have had times where you try to get in touch with people on a regular basis and you get nothing back, and then you get to the point where you think, why am I bothering doing this?
Yeah. It's one of them that it is natural. I don't think it is the fact that we love you any less. I think the friendship's still there. But you've got to be able to pick up that friendship when necessary. I feel like that one of my best friends, Matt, I don't think you'll mind me mentioning him. We used to spend every day together. We worked together for years, and then he went to another job. I went to another job. He moved to a different place. I haven't seen him in about 2 years. But whenever we get back together, it's like bam.
It's always the same.
Yeah.
Those true friends, right there, mate.
They're people that sort of stick with you in life. So yeah, it pisses you off, Eve, and I am with you, but don't think it's a personal slight on you. I feel like people are just busy doing their own shit. They're a family I haven't spoken to in years because I'm just concentrating on my own shit, and that's the goddamn honest truth. I don't love you any less. I'm just doing. And let's face it,
Alex. Like through a sensitive outlook on it, through a formal outlook on it, you don't know what's going on in people's lives to why they haven't got back in touch with you, Alex. Like, you can't presume that everyone's living the dream and just ignoring you on purpose. You know, there may be mental health, there might be lots of different scenarios to why people aren't getting in touch, and they may appreciate that message. Just, hey, dude, how's it going? Even if they don't respond, they've sinned that even if they don't acknowledge it, they've seen the message that you're reaching out. So I think that's dead important as well, just to check in on people from time to time.
Absolutely. And men's mental health is becoming a talking point a lot more common now. And I feel like if there is that person that's putting the odd comment on Facebook, like they're feeling low, and I've seen it and I've felt it myself. I feel lonely sometimes. I'm like, who the fuck? I don't want to burden people with the shit I'm going through. I'm not going to ring up this person I haven't spoken to in 3 months and be like, my life's terrible. I felt like it, but I know where people are coming from when they say they feel like that. So if I do see someone on Facebook, obviously I'm never going to mention names of people I've seen, but I've always dropped a message and be like, I hope you're okay, bro, because we need to stick together, us guys. We need to do.
Yeah, man, that can make all the difference. That can, Alex, all the difference.
Right. So what we're going to do is we're going to end this segment of.
Hi, honey. How are
I
you?
feel like I've got another rant here.
Oh, you got another one? I pressed the wrong audio button anyway.
I've got 2 rants before we finish here, Alex.
Do
you
this,
asked me
do
to
it.
prepare myself for this, so let's go.
Go on.
Let's go. So, my first one is when people aren't inclusive, Alex. Like, we've all got the same 24 hours in our day. Why would you, why would you be, why would you be nasty to people? Why would you make them feel like they are different to others? I just don't get it. Like, all of our days, from morning to night are exactly the same. Why wouldn't you fill your time with positivity as opposed to negativity?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of my first one. My second one, Alex, and this is totally different. Being a father yourself, you might have felt the effect of this at some time. I'm a foster carer for the local authority, and I'm also a dad of 2 girls. So I've been through the whole nappy changing time and being a foster carer and looking after babies. I'm still going through the nappies on a regular basis and changing. Why is it, Alex? Right? Because this is quite an old school mentality. I've been to that many establishments. I'm talking pubs, restaurants. Why is it that they only have changing facilities in a women's toilet, Alex? Tell me that.
Thank you. I remember being in the Miler in Wrexham and having to find somewhere to go and change. I think I had to wait for the disabled toilet, and somebody just had a shit in there. So it was like, cheers. Do you know what I mean? Like, but I had to wait to go and change my child. And I think it's getting better. But yeah, you're right. There isn't always, especially in pubs. It's
getting better, but what an old school attitude to have that the women just change children. There's so many. I'm a very hands-on dad. I'm a hands-on foster carer, so I do my bit. I don't see women and men as having separate roles. I guess that's kind of because I was brought up by my mom as a single parent.
Yeah.
She did a lot of dad and mom duties together, so I've kind of grown up with that ethos that women don't have separate jobs to men. Everyone's equal. And yeah, the amount of times I've been to establishments, where's your changing facilities? Oh, they're in the women's toilets. Well, how the hell am I supposed to go in the women's toilets without looking like an absolute weirdo?
Hold this then, and then just do it in their arms.
Absolutely. So that really, if we're on about greats, that really grates on me. That does, Alex. Things need to change with that.
And also about the inclusivity as well, about being positive along with the negative, and also not being accepting of people. Right? Okay, so there's something really interesting happening in the world right now, which is, I think, turning a lot of people's heads and making people really think. Obviously, Eminem released "The Death of Slim Shady," which is I wouldn't say it's anti-woke. It's more pro. I could talk about what the fuck I want. Shut the fuck up. Leave me alone. Right? It's not. Let's be racist and let's be nasty. There's been The Acolyte, which has been cancelled on Disney Plus, which people were calling so. So there seems to be like this. Not, I wouldn't say it's like an anti-woke thing. Now listen, I was proud to call myself a woke person before it became a slur. Right? I'm wearing a Whistle Foundation cap now, which is a great charity I spoke to at the Column cricket game, and they are all about making football games inclusive for autistic people, so making sure that they have breakaway rooms where they can go and sit quietly watch the game. Amazing people. I'm all about inclusivity, but at the same time I feel like people are becoming pussies at the same time. I am not right wing. I am sort of leaning left. Let's everybody love each other, right? So when it comes to inclusivity, I feel like there is some danger happening now where because of this kind of anti-woke kind of movement where things are becoming a bit more less liberal and a bit more like you need to get a tougher skin. I feel like some of our liberties, like for example equality when it comes to baby changing things, that kind of thing, are going to start declining a little bit. I feel like we need to stay on the track of everyone needs to be accepted, everyone needs to be included in society, but at the same time, just chill the fuck out, man. I feel like everybody's so scared to talk about things because they're so scared about offending people,
Absolutely. It's massive. And all the pronouns and stuff, like I come from I'm making myself sound like I'm 92 years old, but I come from an era where the pronouns weren't something that I grew up with, and now people have these pronouns of themselves. I respect it, of course, I respect it, but there's sometimes, Alex, I get it a little wrong, and it's not because I'm trying to be offensive to them people. No. I just haven't grew up in a generation where pronouns was so important.
Yeah. There's a lot of people with you on that one, and I think it's just about growth. I feel like if you get it wrong, you learn, you move on. It doesn't need the kind of reaction that it kind of gets sometimes, you know what I mean? So this is good. We're growing as human beings. We're learning about each other. So that was a great addition, and I'm going to get it right this time, of Rants.
What the fuck is going on here?
Working with a soundboard and all this, doing it all on the fly is quite cool. Right. We're going to get into some of your most recent music now. I'm going to play a track. We're going to do it the old school way with a screen share, because there seems to be something not correlating between the music and my mixer, which is a strange one. But this is a track you sent me with, and it features one of my good friends, Bass Phase. So this is Never Fall Apart. Take a listen. Can you hear that?
Life is a succession of lessons which must be lived to be understood. Life can be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. Never limit your view of life by any past experiences. This is my story. Let me take you on a trip and insight into my life. I've been battling for years like a soldier in strife. It goes back to being free, that was living a lie. Mom's picking up the pieces, my lord, she tried to be there for her son while she's hurting herself. Her pain and upset she placed on a shelf. On Christmas Day he left, we were finally free. But little did we know came more pain and misery. He's still walking at home like he owned the place. In and out of my life like I was just a phase. Most weekends I remember I'd be stood at the door where he promised me park trips and so much more.
Right, so that's that. I'm not going to play the whole song. If you want it, you're going to have to go and find it when it's released, right? But what's the inspiration behind that song there?
So that one is probably one of my most true to life tracks, I guess, anthems, lyrics. Every word on that is spoken genuinely. It's spoken from past traumatic experiences, and I hope people can relate. I know people relate to it because I've had so many people get in touch with me and go, shit, my dad put me through stuff like that. And I kind of thought back then when I was a kid that I was the only one that was going through that. It's so interesting and humble to know that other people have gone through these experiences.
Yeah. And also as well, I feel like we're all worried about like bringing up the past, because you never know what kind of people you're going to piss off by whining about something. Yeah, we all know about it. It's like, no, we need to talk about this often. I don't care if it pisses you off. You put me through that shit, so we can talk about it. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And how easy is it to absolutely adore Bass Phase? Because he's amazing, right?
Bass Phase is an absolute legend. I love that guy. I've only known him a short amount of time. I mean, we've known each other for a couple of years, but in that couple of years, we have grown together with the music. He's a fantastic producer. I mean, that track, Alex, like, I was on holiday. I wrote a few notes down. I dropped him a voice note because me and Bass Phase are massive fans of voice notes. I am team voice. I love voice notes. You can really express yourself. You like text messages, you can't really tell how the tone's going. Voice notes, there's no confusion, you know?
Yeah, if you write in a minute with an exclamation mark on like on a text, you kind of like, oh fucking hell, he's been a bit short. But like, in a minute, bro, I'm just going for a shit or something.
Yes, exactly that, Alex. Exactly that. Minus the shit. Yeah. But, so I wrote a voice note to Bass Phase saying, all right, mate, I've got this idea. I've wrote these lyrics. It isn't finished yet. This is kind of what the idea I want to go with. Can you write me an instrumental? Now, that chap has been writing drum and bass for years. Before that, he wrote hardcore. You obviously know the progression with Bass Phase. I don't really need to explain, but phenomenal producer, fantastic lad. phenomenal producer, and he was like, "Yeah, bro, leave it with me." Within 2.5 hours, that was the final product. It was the instrumental of that with the vocals, the hook, the chorus, and he was like, "There you go, bro, do your thing." And we had that boxed off and wrote within a couple of days, and I can honestly say that it's probably one of my favorite true to life tracks that I've ever wrote, Alex. And I've wrote some very deep stuff on mental health, on losing people, and on disabilities. But that one, I think because it's personal to me, and because it's a little gem that it's like me and Bassface's baby. It's our little gem, and we kind of put that out there. And yeah, I'm very blessed to work with Bassface. I'm very blessed to call him my friend, and I'm sure you feel the same as well, Alex.
I dropped his name at the bottom of the screen there while we were talking, just so you can get the spelling of his name, Bassface. That's how he spells it. Look for him. He's amazing. He does lots of live shows as well online. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to play another track. I'm going to do it the old school way. Usually I like to put it onto my mixer and just be like, look, I do it with a button. But Zoom, you've let me down. I'm not talking about Zoom, the calls. I'm talking about my mixer. Right, let's do this. So we do a screen share. I closed it accidentally last time. This is the whole point of this show, is that you get to see me fucking up live, like as the show goes. So there we go.
It's organic. It's natural, Alex. It's good.
I love it. I love it. Right, so next one is Be Fine, which is down here. Let's go.
By so many people, yet I feel so alone. But that's my problem. I think too much and I feel too deeply. It's a dangerous combination.
If you ever felt down, go and put your hands high. For the nights on your own when you just cry, yeah. Everything's gonna be fine. We just hold on to this low ride. If you ever felt down, go and put your hands high. For the nights on your own when you just cry, yeah. Everything's gonna be fine. We just hold on to this low ride.
Lately my mind's felt murky, I can't see through the pain. I'm surrounded, all these questions I don't want to explain. 1 second I'm flying high amongst the birds in the trees. Then the following second I'm falling straight to my knees. I'm feeling pulled from both ways, and the walls are caving in, and my natural existence is weighing terribly thin. We're all in this race of life and we're surviving.
Right, I got to stop it there because I think this is incredible. The lyrics that you've got there are just so like me. Like I feel like you're talking about my own anxiety. How 1 minute you're excited about something, then you got the dread of it. You're kind of like, this is what I tend to do in my life. I kind of be like, yo, wouldn't it be a great idea if we take a car and then we park up in front of places and we set up cameras and we do interviews and stuff, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to take a car and park it up in front of places and talk about things. Oh my God, what's going on? Is it about that panic? Is that what it's about?
Yeah, I guess so. It's the kind of the light and dark, isn't it? The positive, and then the voice in your mind telling you that actually it's a really bad idea when it's not a bad idea, but the anxiety takes over and fills you with dread. So yeah, you've kind of knocked that on the head. And straight away, that first sentence you've said after listening to Be Fine is that you pretty much relate to it, Alex, and that is exactly what I'm trying to do with this music.
It needs to be relatable, and that voice in the background, beautiful as well. Really nice. You really well put together. How hard is it to make something like that when it is like so close to home? Does it like release? Is it a release for you, or does it bring? Because you talk about counselling. Now, counselling can be quite painful, and we talk about it's a release as well. How is it for you making something like that?
Counselling was. Let's just refer back to the counselling quickly. Counselling was the most painful yet satisfying thing I've ever had to do, Alex. Anyone that happens to listen to this, if you have any doubts about accessing counselling, honestly, just take the plunge and do it. Even if you think it isn't going to work for you, just stick with it, because I was dreading it. I'd never done it before. I rang a service and basically said I needed help. I had to sit on a waiting list for donkey's years. That's what us Telford people like to say, a long time, donkey's years. Mm-hmm. When I got the when I got the counselling, when I was awarded childhood trauma counselling, it was all based on what my father had put me through. So going back to the track Never Fall Apart with Bass Phase, it was all based on that kind of stuff. And it was the most hardest thing I've ever had to do, but man, I felt good afterwards, Alex. Like when I'd completed the full course of the counselling, I felt there was so much stuff that I would put in my backpack, because this is how my counsellor described it, and this is how I'll kind of relate it back to you, Alex. There was so much stuff I'd put in my backpack that it was starting to weigh me down. I was falling backwards with this backpack of problems, and the counselling helped. It basically made me empty my backpack across the floor and sort out which things I could control and which things that I couldn't control, that were his actions, and I was a child and they were his actions that I had no control over. And that really helped me, Alex. It helped me to let go of a lot of anger. So let's go into that track, that Be Fine that we've just played. So how easy is it? I think it's very easy for me, Alex. That if you'd asked me to write a track about something I've never relived, that would probably be my hardest thing. But it's quite easy for me to do this now because, like I said, mom raised me, always taught me to speak my mind, so that's helped. Always told me to wear my heart on my sleeve, so I'm not scared of showing emotions, whether it be sadness or happiness. I'm not scared of doing that. But what I will tell you is, each time I write these tracks, like Be Fine, I've wrote a track called Anxiety, like Never Fall Apart, the tears are streaming down my face, Alex, when I write these. When I'm in the booth, you know what I mean, it's not just I'm rapping off a piece of paper.
It's real pain.
I've recited them. It's real pain, bro. Yeah, it's real pain. And people say that to me. I can hear the pain in your voice when you're doing Never Fall Apart, Be Fine. Yeah, genuinely, you know what I mean, I can listen to them tracks, and although I feel better about it now, I can put myself right back to my booth, which is just to the right of me here because I'm in my studio right now. I can put myself right back to that booth where the tears were absolutely streaming. But I think that is where you get your best possible content, when you show this emotion, Alex, as opposed to just making two words rhyme.
Perfect. I love that. We got one more track to look at, which we're going to go back to. And this is Poverty Stricken with featuring Ray Clark.
Sauce.
Let's start this off real with some facts and figures. Over 27,000 go without dinners or suitable clothing just to meet their needs. Yet we turn a blind eye despite all the greeds. 8.4 million people are struggling to eat, and there's one on every corner, there's 6 in every street. It takes Rashford to speak up, fight for opportunities, free school meals in these poor communities. They'll find any green land to build a property. Many children in this world half live in poverty. What happened to childhood so young and innocent? Forced to grow up with these social implements. Low pay, job loss, inadequate savings, temptation for cash, payday loan cravings. When it's time to pay it back, they want triple the price. If they could turn this around, have a heart and think twice.
Surely there's a chance to change this.
We have to make a change.
Together we can make it right.
It's time to put it right.
I fucking wish I could play that whole song. It's fucking brilliant. Like,
thank you, mate. That
for me is Poverty Stricken Britain, by the way, not Poverty Stricken. My bad. I did correct the banner. Again, you get to see me fuck up in live action. It's great. My whole life has recently just fallen apart. My car died on me due to some fucking bullshit, HR bullshit. I ended up unemployed for the first time since 2009. I had no money, no car. Of course, stuff with my mental health, which I'm going to go into with Liam Tinsley when he comes on my show. I'm going to have a right rant about my mental health. I'm going to get proper personal with that one. But basically, I've been diagnosed with PTSD, childhood trauma, work-related stress, no car, no job. I was fucked. And I don't have thousands of pounds in the bank. I can't just be like, oh, here's $1,500 for a brand new gearbox. Here you go. So I feel this. Because it's so hard when you fall on your ass the way I did to get yourself back up there. And in fact, because the paydays are so different with my new job and my old job, I am now like in debt with my rent, with my phone, and it's all been dealt with. I've spoke to them and said, look, I'm going through shit, and they're like, well, it's okay, we'll deal with it. But there are consequences, because they can't just, like with EE or your phone bill, they can't be like, yeah, it's fine, don't worry about it. They'll be like, no, what we'll do is we will sort it, but there will be a non-payment of a bill that goes on your file, and then it can affect your credit rating if you don't deal with it. So there are consequences to this shit happening. This country's fucked. People are struggling right now. And I love that you mentioned Marcus Rashford, because I could not fucking believe the amount of people that are shitting on Marcus Rashford for helping people when all that happened. I was like, fuck you and the fucking tower that you came from. How the fuck dare you like take like action against someone that's helping children? Sorry. Rant over. Thank you for that.
Get it all out, Alex. Get it all out. Mate. Get it all out. I'm trying my damn hardest to get Rashford to hear this track, Alex.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, well, why not? You know, if he's got a special mention in it for doing good, then why not? You know, so
for people that are listening to this abroad, by the way, sorry to cut you off, because we have got listeners in America. Marcus Rashford is a footballer for Manchester United, and during COVID, and also around that era, he was trying to help out with kids with free school meals. And kids that were not going to school because of the pandemic weren't getting those meals, and the parents were having to pay a little bit more to feed their children. So he was like, can we not like help out with the school meals even though the children aren't in school? And it was amazing. Like this young lad who's a footballer, they usually care about their earrings and the cars and the fucking women and stuff. Like he was actually trying to make a difference. So that's what we're talking about. Yeah, I hope he does hear it.
I hope so too. But I wanted to highlight with poverty-stricken Britain, like, you know, growing up, again, I'm going to go back to real life experiences because that's where, you know, I'm relatable with it. Like, mom did the best she could. Me and my brother never went without, but you know, it was hard back then. There was times when we didn't have 2 pennies to rub together. Again, a Telford expression of being quite, you know, not being too well off. I wasn't born with a silver spoon. I'm not from a very, you know, rich family. So like, you know, mom did the best she could, but there's children out there. Like it was quite sad to see, you know, especially with the area of work that I do, you know, that it was very sad and quite heartbreaking to see that there's children out there that haven't got basic essentials like, you know, all this. Let's say, for example, like my daughter goes to school. All the homework is online now, Alex. You have to do it online. Well, what about if you're a family that can't afford a laptop?
Yeah.
You know, it's little things like that the government presume that you're going to have, but there's families out there that struggle that haven't got these things. And that's why poverty-stricken Britain was so special to me, really.
I think there's so many of us right now kind of like, how the fuck can this like with like energy bills about to rise again? I can't believe they've risen as far as they have. How can they rise even more? Like, I don't understand. There is a real disconnect when it comes to the people that make these plans and these ideas and put these bills in place. To the realization of what families are capable of at the moment and what they can afford. I don't think they quite understand that people are struggling already. Like we're talking about payday loans. I nearly had to get one to fix my car. It's only because like a good friend who's helping me with the car was kind of like, fuck that, just owe me the money. Like, do you know what I mean? That's good fortune. Like, I've managed to fall on that. Otherwise, I was going to have to get some real bastard of a loan to fix that car.
Yeah,
like,
there's some people that haven't got that, you know, they haven't got anything to fall back on, have they? They haven't got families with lots of wealth and stuff like that, and they are genuinely on their ass. And, you know, that stretches from the parents, that stretches to the children, because obviously the children feel the effects of that from the parents. And yeah, it's an ongoing vicious circle, mate. And that's why I wanted poverty-stricken Britain to really relate to that, really, that, you know, it's not all wealth and glory. There is poverty around, and there is people going without basic necessities. And I think it's disgusting, mate, to be honest with you. Yeah,
it is. And I think a few listeners can relate. Wherever you're listening in the world, I think it's not just a UK problem, it's an American problem. What was I looking at before? A friend of mine was talking about dentistry. I thought dentistry was just a problem in the UK. Bad in America as well. Like prices have like skyrocketed, like trebled in America. So I don't understand how like...
That's what makes me sad, Alex. Like there's people in America, you know, that are going through like they've got like the dreaded big C, the cancer, you know, and they can't afford the treatment, Alex. I mean, what we moan and moan about our NHS, but my God, you know, yes, we have to sit on waiting lists, but effectively we're going to get that help at some point soon. Whereas, you know, people in America can't afford treatment, and it's
simple
sad.
things as well, like inhalers, fucking diabetic people, like, you know, epilepsy. Anybody has to take like simple medication that we just go and pick up from the chemist.
Yeah. That could be a matter of life and death to someone, you know?
Absolutely. Oh my God, I've loved this episode. We've got some all right rants out of the way. I love that. But we've done some positive stuff as well. When's this album out? Can people buy it now? Because I know you're in HMV as a local artist in Telford. So if you're in Telford or you're in and around the area, pop into HMV, buy some of Ad's music. That'd be good.
Thank you very much, bro. So the album is out now. It's available on Spotify. It's available on Apple Music, Amazon, all the good outlets to purchase. It's also, as Alex rightly said, it's available in HMV Telford, which is an amazing feeling, Alex. Like, I still pinch myself walking in there and seeing it on the shelves, because I used to go in there and do you remember back in the day of like Virgin and HMV where you'd have like the headphones and you go and press play on the latest CD and you'd be able to listen? I used to do that as a kid, you know.
Yeah.
I used to love it too, mate. So to go in there now and see my album on there and take my kids and go, look, that's on the shelves, you know, it's I still can't get used to it, Alex. I still feel very blessed that I've done that. But with me, Alex, it's like I set out targets, and it's not a case of if, it's a case of when with me, because I am like a Jack Russell with a bone, and I don't know if it's the ADHD in me, but I will strive until I get what I want. And I kind of set out probably a year and a half ago that one day I would have an album in HMV. So to have it there, and not only that, Alex, like when they put that CD into HMV, they also invited me along to do a live performance in store. So I did that, and that was amazing. And it was a mad feeling, that was, Alex, because I put the word out to all my supporters, all my family. You know, I'm performing at HMV in store at Telford. It's on home turf to me. It's an intimate crowd. It's not like I can stand on a stage in front of thousands of people with my shades on and just pretend I'm not there. This is intimate, Alex. This is full of people. This is your
unplugged. This is your MTV unplugged. Like, this
is make or break for me. I'm either going to make an absolute tool out of myself, or I'm going to smash it. And on the day when I woke up, it was like the performance was at 11 o'clock or something. I had quite a few texts off people going, I'm really sorry, mate, something's come up, I can't make it. And I said to my wife, I was like, man, I don't think many people are going to be there. And she was like, just have faith, you know, to see it. I packed HMV Telford Town Centre out, Alex. You couldn't move in there. Every aisle was just full of people just stood there watching my performance. And I did a full hour set. I did 13 tracks off the album back to back without a break, 13 tracks. And yeah, from my point of view, I nailed it. I got Icy Media, them wicked camera guys from Shrewsbury.
They've been on my show before.
Have they?
With Triple J, they came on my show.
Right, okay.
They're good. They're quite tight. Yeah,
they are. They're lovely people. I got Marcus from Icy Media to come down and capture
shout out
the
to those
events.
guys.
That's on
big respect.
Yeah, absolutely. Big up Icy Media every time. So I got Marcus from Icy Media to come down and capture it, and yeah, it was amazing. It was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. It was an experience. Lots of people were buying the album afterwards, so it kind of done the job because it promoted at the same time. What I will say though, Alex, because you know, before this interview, you said that we can be a bit loose here and we can say what we like and we can be a little controversial.
Free space, and as long as you don't, yeah, crack on.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Okay, so lots of people see my album in HMV, and I'm going to be real here. They see my album in HMV and they say, wow, Dribbz, I feel like you've made it because your album's in HMV. Let me tell you something, Alex, right? For HMV to stock my album, and I'm being controversial here, I know I am, they take 70% of my profits.
Wow. So out of a tenner, you make £3. So
70% of my profits. So although it looks glory and it's amazing to say your album sold in HMV, the realism of it is they take 70% of my profits, so I don't see much back. So that's why, as an independent artist, Alex, I got 500 copies of my album printed, because this is my second album I've released now. My first album, it's all independently released. I haven't used a label. Labels have approached me, but I want to do it all independent because it's organic for me. So if I fall or if I stumble or miss out on something, I've only got myself to blame. So I sold 500 copies of my first album. and I was hoping to sell 500 of my last. And what I did, Alex, aside from having it in HMV, I put about 10 copies in HMV. The rest I've independently sold myself. So I put them in a backpack, and I've travelled all across Telford, Shrewsbury, Birmingham, Wolverhampton, sending them out through the post to places like America. And I've done it all completely myself, really.
You got any LPs?
That's what I've done.
Any vinyl?
Mate, I haven't, but
expensive to press,
Trademark
right?
Releasing his LP. I'm all over that, mate. But yeah, you're very right. You go on.
I was going to say that was when my life was falling apart. I would have loved to have bought a Trademark Blood LP, but I couldn't afford it at the time because my life was a shit.
Yeah, it is what it is, mate. I didn't purchase it either, but I did share it and show a bit of love for it. But I know it sold well, and I'm dead pleased for him. But yeah, unfortunately, unless you're buying in mass bulk, it's a very, very expensive game. But I would love to have an LP. Personally, I would love to have an LP just to stick on the wall and just be like, that's my album. Yeah. That's my hard work right there, you know?
Yeah. I got invited to HMV in Shrewsbury. Any given reason, my good friend Moose Cooper, they turned up and they screamed and shouted and was like, because they're proper like, which I love. That's very much Moose Cooper. That's in his fucking ballpark all day. But I was working the day. I couldn't come. So I'm sorry, guys, at any given reason. If you can get somewhere to support your local bands, do it. Get them in your local playlist. If it's on Spotify or Google or YouTube Music or wherever you listen to your music, iTunes, wherever, get it in your local playlist. Get it regularly listened to because it helps the artist. And also, it helps you, like, learn local music and local culture. That I do it all the time. Like Chasing August, Trademark Blood, Josh Lobley. I forgot his name then. Josh Lobley from the Shirish Rovers. His music is beautiful. It's in my playlist. I'm going to add Dribbz as well to my playlist too. So make sure you do that.
Thank you. They're inviting me down. They've got in touch with me again, HMV, and said because the last one went so well, they've asked me to come down again. So I'm going to be doing another one at some point soon. So look out for that. And that's going to cover both albums. I'm going to do both albums, and any guests that I've got on the album, I'm going to be bringing them down to perform live. And off the back of that has come a lot more performances as well for the hip hop, which is what I was always wanting. You know, I've had the local parish. It's only something small, but it's special to me, Alex. I've had the local parish council of Donington, which is the area that I grew up in and I'm proud to have come from, get in touch with me, and they want me to do a performance for their kind of Christmas light switch on. But having a stage on an area where I grew up on, and I'm returning back there to do my own tracks, is something really special to me, Alex.
All of these things. So we talk about hyperlocality when it comes to musicians, independent artists, you know, drinking out of a Loop Festival cup. The amount that this added to the local economy with musicians turning up from all around the UK and Shropshire is incredible. When it comes to pubs, clubs, things like light switches, you know, you all buy those lights and you all spend money around the town. The amount of effect that local musicians have on your local economy, what it does for your local area is incredible. You won't believe it. So, you know, whether you're going to the pub in Shrewsbury or Telford or wherever it is you see to see your local band, you're going out there, you're going to spend a pot of money on a pint. You might buy a CD off them. You know, it's incredible the effect that you guys have on the locality. So hats off to you all. Live shows, you got that live show in Donington, the Light Switch. You got anything else coming up you want to make people aware of before we get out of here?
Absolutely. You're probably aware of this being from Shrewsbury Town, but I have the Heel Festival. Next month. Yes. Absolutely. I've got the Heel Festival next month, which is something that I've been involved in for many years, since the start of Shrewsbury Fields Forever, really. But the Heel Festival is back with the rebrand. It's on the 20th and the 21st of September. It's at West Midlands Showgrounds. There's so many acts. It caters for many, many ages. You know, we've got main stage, we've got EDM, electronic dance music tents. And yeah, I'm hosting for the drum and bass legend DJ Hype, which, going back to the conversation earlier, you know, that's an artist that we used to listen to growing up. It's an artist
idols,
yeah, and now I'm doing a 90-minute set hosting for him. So that's kind of a pinch me moment. So yeah, Heel Festival, 20th and 21st of September, West Midlands Showground.
I feel like I need to try and get to that. I need to speak to the organisers. I think I was meant to go a couple of years ago, but I didn't go for some reason. I feel like now that I'm come out of my my shell a bit more, I think maybe I should reach out and be like, "Yo, let's bring the biscuit."
Yeah, I'd love to have you there, mate. So we've got that going on. That's next month. And yeah, just keep checking for anyone that's listening that's interested in the music. The hip hop, obviously, I've explained a couple of live performances, but the drum and bass is kind of my bread and butter. It's what I get consistent bookings most weekends for. Like me and Monchi, we're booked most weekends across the UK. So keep an eye on my socials because there's always parties, there's always festivals, there's always raves going on, and I invite everyone to come down because I only perform at raves where they're great vibes. I don't tend to go to return back to moody vibes and things like that. I only go to raves that give me a really good feeling, and they're quite safe environments. And it takes, for someone that's never been to a rave, there's a lot of animosity about, are they moody, are they dodgy and stuff like that. But the places that I promote and the places that I perform at are places that I've been before, and I can only say that they are amazing vibes. So yeah, check out my socials for flyers and things like that.
Brilliant. Well, Ad, you've been an amazing guest. Thank you so much for coming on. We've blown past our hour, but I've really enjoyed it. I did say I didn't want it to be like the Shoes with Biscuit. I wanted it to be sort of free and organic, and we could talk about what the hell we want to talk about in the manner in which we want to talk about it. So this has been...
Yeah, and can I just say, Alex, I want to say before I go, shouts to all my supporters that have followed me since the pirate days. Like, it is wholeheartedly appreciated. I don't say this lightly, like I genuinely do, because if it wasn't for you guys sticking with me and showing love and things like that, it would just be something that I would just doing as a hobby. But now it's more than that. It's a big part of my life. It's what I've been doing for 20 years deep now, and it's a special part of me. And if I didn't have these supporters that are pushing me to help me, to bring me out and make me strive more, then I just want to say thank you to them. And also, Alex, thank you to you, the platform that you're giving here, because a lot of people would see the interviews. 2 seconds.
That's okay. I did mention to me, that's what he's been looking at his phone, just to see if his TV's turned off, because he said that his TV's coming. But what I'm going to say is, while Ad is sorting out his thing, that this is a brand new show. I don't normally do video stuff and throw stuff on YouTube, but this is new for me. So if you're watching on YouTube and you're noticing it's very young, just give us a subscribe and support the show with a share. This is going to be a great experience for people to come on and just talk about whatever they want to talk about. You don't even have to promote the thing you're coming on to promote about. You just come and blow off some steam. That's what this is all about. I'm not an angry guy, but I do have angry thoughts like everyone else, and I want to be able to sort of share them in this manner and turn it into positive energy, like what Ad has been saying. Sometimes there are things that really piss us off in the world, but we can turn it into that energy. We can make music with it, we can make art with it, and we can put things to right. It's really good to blow off that steam, and that's what this show is going to be all about. So this is, if that is your vibe that you're looking for, give this show a subscribe. Follow us on social media. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook as the Biscuit Guy. You can just share our stuff and make a noise about what I'm trying to do here. But if you want to come on the show, if you have a great story, you don't have to be from Shrewsbury, you don't have to be promoting a thing. If you have an amazing story and you want to come and chill with me, you're more than welcome to. It doesn't take much more than a message. Hey Al, I've got a podcast I'm promoting, can I come on the Biscuit Guy? Yeah, let's do it. It's virtual, and I can speak to you wherever you are in the world. You can rock up in your PJs. I'm in my bedroom right now. Look at this. Look at the mess behind me. That is not what this is about. I'm not about the glamour. I'm not about the look how amazing my life is. I'm about sitting and talking to people. I'm not just talking about the good thing. This isn't Instagram. Instagram's all about, oh, look how amazing I am. I'm talking about the real life. Real life is more important than everything is shiny and good and great. So if you like that sort of stuff, again, make sure you support and subscribe to this show. Right, I'm going to let you go and play with your new TV.
Yeah, it's typical, isn't it? Halfway through an interview, my TV turned off. But like you said, you wanted it raw and uncut. This is about as raw and uncut as it gets. But once again, Alex, so I didn't get to finish that. Thank you so much for having these platforms for us artists, because you know we don't take it lightly. And with people like you and the platforms that you give for us artists are massively, massively important. So thank you, Alex. Appreciate that.
Amazing. No worries. Make sure you stick around for the, past the outro, because we'll have a chat backstage after it's finished. But thank you so much for tuning in, guys. This has been first episode back. This has been the Biscuit Guy. Go fuck yourselves. Have a great day. Peace out.
Big love, guys.
Took my lumps, roll with the punches, made my bed, ignored my hunches. I focused on the wrong stuff, but baby, you are the change now.